A little bit about me because you probably have absolutely no idea who I am besides what Linda just described there. And back in 2020, I really wanted to give a TEDx talk. I just had no idea how to get booked. So I thought you needed the whole script written, and you would write your TED talk, you'd send that to your organizer, and that was how it worked. So it took a year and a half writing a script. I paid a script writer a lot of money to help me write that thing, and finally, when I thought it was ready, I sent it to my hometown TEDx organizer, and I basically just celebrated because I thought this is like a year and a half of my absolute best work. It would be unreasonable if it's not selected. Week later, got a response. Great speech, Ryan. This is not a TED Talk. Sorry. I thought, ouch. Okay, I just wasted a year and a half of my time. This is inconvenient. And I kind of sat in that sting of that rejection for about 6 months until finally I just decided, you know what? I just want to know what I did wrong. Like, if I know the specific thing that I did wrong here, I could probably fix it and be selected. So I interviewed 7 TEDx speakers looking for that, that little nugget, that little gem. And one of them was a 3 times TEDx speaker named Matt Stewart. If you go on YouTube, check it out. He's from Canada originally. Big beard, nice guy. He asked me one question that gave me everything I was missing. It's so simple. He asked me, Ryan, how many TEDx events do you think I applied to land these 3? And I said, well, Matt, you've given 3 TEDx talks, so obviously you only applied to 3. That's just how it works, man, right? He gave me this huge smile, like this grin, like he knew something I didn't. And he said, no, I applied to 300. I said, oh, okay. First, I felt like so dumb for applying to one and thinking I was somehow special and my story was magical or something like that. And then I realized, okay, it's just a numbers game, and he confirmed that. So once I knew that, I just started applying. I ended up applying to about 15 different TEDx events, just to test it out. 2 of them ended up selecting me. The first one was in Madrid, in Spain. The second one was in England. 2 totally different ideas. That got me selected. Both of those, enough of them, I just put them up on my LinkedIn profile, and enough people started messaging me on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, I've always wanted to give a TEDx talk. Can you please help me?" And I helped one person, and it somehow actually worked. It was 1 out of 1. I helped them with the application. And then I put together like a little group program just to test it out. But it ended up being a total failure because at the end of the 6 months of the program, all 3 of the kind of guinea pig trial clients came back to me and they said the same thing. They said, "Hey, Ryan, this is great stuff. We have our idea we're spreading. We have our application. We know how to apply. But we are busy humans. We do not have the time to submit all these applications. Can we just pay you and your team to take care of all that for us?" I said, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Why can't we do that? And that's how we built the business today. So I'm going to give you everything you need right now to get yourself booked for a TEDx talk. By the end of this mastermind, I want you to be the only thing standing in between you and your TEDx stage, but you'll have all the information you need to get yourself booked. So I have nothing super fancy here, but I made a Google document just so you can see really how stupid simple it actually is. 3 steps. Number 1, it's your idea worth spreading. What makes, you guys can see my screen, right? Cool. Okay. What makes a TEDx idea worth spreading different than any other idea out there? Like, what's the equation or the framework? Well, you want to pick a narrative or a set of beliefs that majority of people think is one way and be contrary to that narrative. What's wrong with it? How could it be done better? From my first TEDx talk called How Traumatic Brain Injuries Could Reveal More Than They Remove, the narrative was nobody wants a brain injury. If I say, hey, Linda, you want a brain injury tomorrow? I'm almost certain you're going to say no. Every human I've asked that so far has said the same thing, right? Makes sense. Whereas the idea was you might not want one, but here's how if you unfortunately do find yourself with one, you can make it one of the best things that ever ended up happening to you. My second one, right now, if you've ever heard the phrase, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, well, I heard that phrase and then I kind of thought about it for a second and thought, when we get our college roommates, it's kind of just like a lottery. You just let the colleges choose for you. There's no strategy or intention or anything special behind that. You just room with whoever you room with. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. If you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, especially between ages 18 to 22, why not be strategic and intentional with those 5 people? And that was the idea for the second one. So that's pretty simple how to find the idea. The next question is why you? All you need for a TEDx talk is credibility that why you speak on that idea is your own anecdotal experience. I know for my first TEDx talk, they loved the story, but they didn't like the idea. I said, okay, interesting. How can we change this? I applied with the idea how traumatic brain injuries can reveal more than they remove. And they said, we need to make one tweak to allow you to speak on this. I said, okay, what is it? They said, if you use the word can, that implies you have a data set from the CDC or Harvard or some entity we deem as valid, um, that has at least 30 data sets that proves this idea is true. Whereas if you use the word could, we only need your own anecdotal experience to validate the idea. I said, okay, that is so interesting. So for YU, that's all you need is your own anecdotal experience. If you have data, that's cool too. But I want to show you guys kind of how we do it with a client, how we actually find the idea. I've interviewed about 50 different TEDx organizers, and one thing I learned is every single person has a TEDx idea worth spreading in them. You just need a little help finding it. So we built a really cool system. Me and my tech team, we built a GPT. It sits on top of the TEDx YouTube channel, transcribes every TEDx talk that comes up, puts the transcriptions into the data set so we know what ideas do work and what ideas have been spoken on already and therefore are no longer ideas worth spreading. That's how TEDx organizers see it. So if there is a volunteer here that I could use as an example to find your idea, I see the first one up here is Kathy. Kathy, can I call on you and do this with you? Would that be all right with you?
Sure.
Let's do it. Okay. So, Kathy, tell me if you were to give a TEDx talk, what is that narrative that you would want to be contrarian towards in your TEDx talk?
One of the things I've been playing with is the idea is that the current model of retirement needs to get retired.
Hmm. Tell me more.
Well, the idea that at the age of 65 we are done and should just go sit in the corner and putter, I think we need to erase that. And the age of 65 should not be what dictates if we feel like we're done in the world. So getting rid of that general mentality.
And what would be the replacement? If it's not the age that triggers it's time for retirement, what's that new contrarian way you're saying when this happens, that is a good indicator that it is time for retirement?
Well, more the idea that there is no
Okay.
specific indicator that now is the time in our life to be doing new things and doing things that inspire us and that we're passionate about. So finding constructive ways to spend the rest of our days.
Sweet. Okay. So what we're going to do here, we're going to get 10 ideas. Of these 10, you're going to tell me yes or no. We'll go one by one. If you'd feel 51% or more confident and comfortable speaking on this idea specifically, we're going to take those. It might be 10 out of 10, it might be 2 out of 10, it might be 1 out of 10. All are possible. And then we're going to combine and integrate those ideas into one clear and coherent TEDx idea we're spreading. So let's see what we got here. Just the title and the idea. Don't need to validate why it resonates. Number one.
I don't really like the title of the first one.
How about the idea? Would you feel confident, 51% or more confident and comfortable speaking on it versus 51% not confident and comfortable speaking on it?
I'd say that only gets less than half of the idea. So
Okay.
I would say, yeah, four.
Okay. So that'd be a no. Number two.
Mm,
And keep in mind, this
Let's,
is not
let's,
going to be the idea you do speak on. This is just one puzzle piece that we're using to find your idea.
I'd give that maybe a six.
Awesome. Number three.
Give that one a seven.
Although I love some of this language, like identity earthquake. I mean,
Yeah.
wow, talk about redefining what retirement is. That's awesome.
And how about 4?
Yes, I would give 4 an 8.
Okay.
So that's the closest so far.
5.
And I don't think 5 captures it, so I go 3.
6.
Nope, I give that one a 4.
7.
No, 2.
8.
Give that 7.
9.
Uh, no, not 9. Maybe I'll get that at 2.
10.
I'd give that one an 8.
Awesome. So we're not going to go all the way to the end idea, but I'll give you just kind of a quick sample of this so you have an idea. Give me one X idea worth spreading that combines and integrates, oops, the So what we normally do is this might be a total bullseye or it might be totally off. This idea that we get here, we normally tweak it until we find one that I know we can get it selected for a TEDx talk that also you'd feel confident and comfortable speaking about it. So the title and doesn't need to be stuck to is a pretty cool title because the narrative is it is the age of retirement. And then you have the idea. And the function of the title and the idea are different. So the goal of the title is to get the person to click on the TEDx talk. So it functions as kind of a marketing content, if that kind of makes sense, to get the click. Whereas the
Yeah.
goal of the idea is to get you selected for the TEDx talk. But that's normally how we do it. If there's anything off with the idea, we tweak it until we can finally get it where it sends a note of electricity down your spine and lights you up. And when you visualize your TEDx talk, that's when you feel amazing seeing on the TEDx YouTube channel with your name under it. So that's normally how we find the TEDx idea we're spreading for our clients and a little kind of framework of how you can do it too. The next step, once you have that idea we're spreading, the why you. Kathy, why would how do you know anything about this topic? Like, what is your experience that gives you credibility to, how did you arrive at this idea to be true in your experience?
Well, I'm 62 and know that I don't see myself stopping work for a long time. And most of the ladies or people that I know in my age group, we are wanting to continue to do things that contribute and bring positive value to the world.
And when you normally talk to people about this idea, do you notice that they also resonate with it, people that are making that decision?
Yes, yes.
Well, there you go. So it's your own personal anecdotal experience of how you realized it is true, and then how majority of people, when they're growing up, they hear this age, but now that you're getting there, you're realizing this is not true. And when you share it with other people, you realize you're not alone. And why is this not a common idea that everybody knows? Why is it not the narrative at the moment, right? And that's where you know the why you. So that's pretty simple, the idea and the why you. The application, the only things you need with the application is your idea and why you. That's like the core of it. The other things are just, they normally don't have a role in you being selected or not, um, but they're very simple. I can actually just show you a template of what we use for our clients just so you guys can check it out. Um, more to, I mean, you could use it if you want, but it's more to kind of crushed the limiting belief that I had of, oh, I need the whole script. This is what we use with our done for you booking clients. We get through all of this in this 1 hour ideation session. At the end, that's when we record that video. Really simple video. It doesn't need to be perfect. I had a friend record that number 21, 1 to 3 minute video. What's your name? What's your idea and why you? On a Galaxy S3, if you remember that phone, in his basement at almost midnight. So it was a dark basement, not professional. And that video got him selected for TEDx Geneva. So it's not about like the beauty of the video or the professionalism of it. It's just whatever is authentically you, whatever that looks like for you. Right, so this is just the general framework for the application. This is what we use. Not all of them are always necessary, but once you have an application like this, you might have your social medias somewhere already. If you have like a PR drive, most people do. Most individuals that want to give a TEDx talk do. But pretty simple application. Once you have this, you don't necessarily need all those details. Some of those details on that application we only include because maybe 5% of TEDx events request it. Like only 5% request the person's headshot, but we still ask it when we are building your application just so that we can apply those to those 5 TEDx events and we don't need to go find it on your LinkedIn or socials. It just speeds up the process for us. Um, but where do you actually submit your application? Great question. I'm glad you asked, Linda. There is, when I first started, I thought you could only speak in your own hometown, right? And then I realized there is this map, and I'm going to put this map in the Zoom chat for you. When I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, I went from a scarcity mindset of TEDx events. I thought there was like 3, to then I saw this. I was like, oh boy, there are a lot more than I realized, and they're all over the world. But how do I know which ones of these even want speakers? Am I qualified to speak at and all that kind of stuff? Um, Here's how you know. So TEDx events, they start looking for speakers about 6 to 8 months in advance. If you go on this website, you'll see the ones that are blue, it means there's spaces available. The ones that are dark blue is they don't, spaces are not available. This spaces available does not refer to speakers. It refers to audience tickets that you could still purchase a ticket to go to the event. So learn that the hard way. That'll save you a lot of trial and error before you figure that out yourself. That's what the spaces available refers to. So let's see, right now it's February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So we're looking at August, September, October TEDx events right now are probably looking for speakers. So we'll take this TEDx event. Let's see, September. There we go, 7 months, Salt Lake City. It's hyperlinked. So on each of these hyperlinked TEDx events, first step is you find the one that's between 6 to 8 months in advance. When you have this, there's a few ways to find the application from here. Number one, you could just DM Jennifer on LinkedIn. You copy paste, you find a similar profile pic, make sure it's the same Jennifer Martin that's in Salt Lake City. You say, hey, Jennifer, I'm a local speaker. Saw you're the TEDx Salt Lake City organizer. I was looking for the application, struggling to find it. If you have that link on hand, could you please send that over? As simple as that. The worst thing you can do that will absolutely guarantee you are instantly rejected is say, hey, Jennifer, I want to give a TEDx talk. Can you make that happen for me? They don't care about you. It's the idea we're spreading and the value that that idea has for that audience that they have at that TEDx event. So if you say make it about you, ego, that kind of thing, it's one of the easiest ways to get the instant rejection. They care about the idea and whether that fits into the TEDx event they want to have that year. So that's one way, is DMing the organizer on LinkedIn. The other way, if it is in that month timeline of 6 to 8 months out, majority of times they'll have a website. Like 80% of TEDx events will have a website. So you just Google it. This one does. And then you just do a little bit of fishing around the website. I think they made it kind of easy because they hyperlinked it right here. It said be a speaker. It makes it easy for you. Um, but normally when you find it, it would just be like you look around, you see it says oh, get involved, be a speaker. Okay, interesting. Scroll down here. Look at that. Applications open in about a little over a week and they're open for a month. So that just so you kind of have reference of that 6 to 8 month timeline. They haven't even opened for applications, but they're about to. And they will only be open for that 6 months prior to the event, um, if that kind of makes sense. So when that opens up, you can absolutely submit your application. Not all of them will request everything that is in this document. Some will only want your name, your phone number, your email, and your idea and why you. Some ask for the video, but normally you won't have the only question that you'll see that a TEDx event application will like ask you that is not present on here is why is your idea specifically relevant to this specific TEDx event and the audience in this location? Um, for example, like in your case, Kathy, what I would do if I was applying with your idea to TEDx Salt Lake City, I would look at the age of the population in Salt Lake City and say, well, in Salt Lake City, you have 40% of people are between ages 50 to 70 and may have felt this kind of thing at this time and might be looking for a sign of hope. This is 40% of your local population that might find this idea relevant. That's the reason why um, Jennifer Martin would select your idea at that TEDx talk, if that kind of makes sense. Has to make sense for her. So that's one way to find the application, or two, the LinkedIn DM and the find it on their website. And they would just put like a Google Forms link when they open it up. I guess they're having an application workshop or have a recording of it. That's cool. Probably pretty valuable. The other way, at TEDx events, they do promote on their Instagram normally when they're looking for speakers. So I'll put this Instagram account in the Zoom chat and not to follow. You don't need to follow, it doesn't matter. But because we're following 811 TEDx events here, so instead of you have to search manually for every single TEDx event to follow it and make like a fake Instagram account, you could just click on this and like spam follow every single one. So you have a lot here. Just put the link in the Zoom chat. I made this Instagram profile for a podcast originally, but I realized it's more valuable for us to use the follow. You see the kind of posts that are here. You see stories, different people, or excuse me, different TEDx events telling you the speakers they've selected when they're looking for speakers. And it's almost like a live feed of all TEDx stuff, right? Tickets that they're selling. Um, this was the one that I spoke at initially, which is cool that they're about to be looking for speakers this year. Um, so that's one thing that you can do. I know this is how I actually found um, my first TEDx talk. This one that I went to, it was starting from scratch, 2020, I think. So it was like, what, 5 years ago is that now? It looks like they've deleted the older photos. It's too bad. Um, so yeah, that is another way you can do it. Um, then it's just a numbers game. What me and my team have noticed is globally, there in the past 3 years that we've been submitting applications for clients, there hasn't been a single month that we've seen more than 20 applications available. So that's like the maximum we've ever seen has been 20 globally looking for a speaker in 1 month. Um, so that's could change, of course, as more TEDx events come up and that kind of thing. Um, but that's how you find your idea. We're spreading. That's the YU. That's the application template. And then that's where to actually submit your application. So it really is just a numbers game. I know for our done for you clients, normally it's like 6 to 8 months of us submitting their application until they get that selection email. We email them every weekend, which TEDx events we've submitted them for that week, and then we have a dashboard on Notion where you can just see every single TEDx event, so you don't need to like manually track every single email and so forth.